Oh,
Yeah, yeah. Mike
Okay.
was there too, so-
Oh, did, oh, so.
Yeah, I
you
was
were
from here, yeah.
Back. Where
Back.
did you graduate?
North Eugene,
Here.
87.
So we're gonna go ahead and get started. I know we've got a nice hum in the room, which is always great, hearing people talk and sharing.
It's been in your yearbook.
What year did they graduate?
I graduated.
Oh, you did? Okay.
In grad.
You're in Todd Barber.
So we want to welcome everybody back. We want to not only welcome the in-class members, but we also want to say hello to all of you who are online, who are sharing the time with us also. This is our third class in the series. For those of you who missed the first couple introductory classes, is there anybody who's brand new tonight? Brand new. If you want to go back and see those classes, they're listed. One of them is on the archive. You can go back to January of this year. There's two introductory classes and you can listen to them and get really caught up to speed. But if you just keep coming to class, a lot of the information will be repeated, just in a different format. So there will be just sort of like different science, different evidence-based articles that we might present, different videos, which will kind of lead you to the same kind of conclusions as to what you might choose to do in the healthiest option. What are the issues? What are the 6 pillars that bring us health or may bring us disease? Anybody? What's that?
think the lifestyle.
Yeah. Do we remember one of those?
Stress.
Stress, stress is a big one. If you have overwhelming stress, it's hard to change what you eat. It's hard to, move like you should. It's hard to do a lot of things. So sometimes we just have to address that issue first. And if any of you have a stress issue in your life, there are techniques that you can use. And if you need help with some suggestions, you can feel free to get in touch and we can try to help you with that. What are the other things?
Sleep.
Sleep, someone said. Sleep. So sleep is a really important one, which we've kind of ignored. I have anyway, as a physician for almost 48 years now in the state, actually over 48. I never asked people about sleep for my first, 40 years. It wasn't until the last couple of years that I really started to learn how important that was and how it can lead to illness if you don't get enough sleep. Increased heart attacks, increased diabetes, increased weight with poor sleep. So stress and sleep. What else? Community, social support. If you're at home and you're anxious or you're depressed, it doesn't really lead you to health. It leads you into the black hole, which is not a health promoting space to be in. So we've dealt with those. What else? Physical activity. And we used to believe that was the #1 thing you could do to improve your health is to get out there and run your knees into the ground. Well, we no longer encourage people to do marathon running. I don't anyway. I encourage you to move more and sit less throughout the day. And you'll rarely see me sitting down. I'm generally standing most of the day. I was out on the tennis court today for, an hour and a half, sometimes for 3 hours. I'm there after the 3-mile walk with my wife. I learned this from Michael Greger. Michael Greger is one of our main sources of health, particularly when it comes to nutrition. And he actually has taken this a step further, where he has a treadmill that he walks on as he does his typing and makes his videos and other things. And if you haven't seen him do that, it's sort of curious the first time. You wonder what he's doing there. but he is moving or standing and he's sitting very little. So I'm not saying you all have to get a treadmill and be walking all day long. I am encouraging you all not to sit for 2, 3 hours at night watching the TV, which I've done personally many, many times in my life, but to get up every half hour, move around for a few minutes, do something where you're standing and watching the commercials, whatever. Just do this intermittently so you get in the habit of moving more and sitting less. And we've left out two more. One is the chemicals we choose. We all know about smoking and drinking too much. I think most of us know about that, and we'll discuss that briefly. Yes.
Can I just add something? I was at a doctor's office there a few weeks ago, and there's a poster on the wall that said you can't outrun your fork.
Yeah.
That's excellent.
I thought that.
That
You
is,
can't outrun your fork.
thank you for sharing that. We really appreciate that. And so the chemicals we choose, are important also. Smoking and drinking, and a lot of us don't realize how much alcohol, how detrimental it is to our health. And we try to share the science and resources connected with that at times. Last one, but maybe the most important one for most of you. Food, what you choose to eat in this world. And we're going to spend a lot of time on that topic. That was how these courses got started. Scott and I have been promoting healthier food choices based upon what? The science, not based upon the internet hype. We all have been confused about whether we should be using coconut oil. Well, on your skin, it's fine, but if you're putting it in your body, it's not a healthy food. But you wouldn't know that by just browsing the internet. You might think that eggs are fine and the cholesterol is wonderful. It's not a problem in the egg yolk. We encourage you to look at the science, and we have both spent our time trying to focus on what are the healthiest choices and who do we trust? That's a big issue. How do you find someone you trust? Well, Scott and I have been doing this both about 13 years, right, remarkably, and we've come to similar conclusions. There's a few of our mentors, people who we choose to follow, and we choose to follow them because they're evidence-based. They're not selling supplements or selling, making a living trying to convince you to do something different with your food. And so one of those sites is Dr. Michael Greger, nutritionfacts.org. Another site is Physician Committee for Responsible Medicine, pcrm.org. And we'll share those again with you over and over again until you get it. And why do we trust them? For me, I've asked every student in every class and every med student who I've interacted with to find something wrong with these sites, some error in what they're doing. And I've yet, over the last 13 years, had one student or class member say, this is a problem. So that's the challenge for you. If you don't, if you kind of disagree with what's the resources that we're providing for you, let us know so we can kind of do a little more research on it. We're not here to tell you what to do. We're here to share resources with you, answer your questions as we both know them to the best of our ability. And why do we do this? We do it as sort of give back for the joy that we've got in helping people and seeing the improvement they have. And that brings me to my latest story that occurred, it was yesterday. I got an email. It was an email from Connie in Idaho.
Try to stay close to people. Try to stand right here if you can. Sorry.
So I got an email from the people, from this lady in Idaho So she's in her late 60s and she called me up in February. And I spent an hour on the phone with her. This was a lady who had 3 doctors tell her, you have congestive heart failure, atrial fibrillation, you have diabetes, you're overweight, you can't hardly get out of bed. Not anything more we can do for you. Better get your affairs in order. She called me up. She was pretty depressed. Like, you know, I'm not ready for my life to be over. Said, well, okay. I'm gonna share with you some resources. Spent an hour talking with her. She took it on totally. She didn't go like, I'm gonna do this 80%. I'm gonna do this 50. I'm gonna do this 90. I need cheat days. It was like, you know, my life is coming to an end here. Maybe I'd better do something complete. She sent me notes intermittently, but the note I got this last week, yesterday, brought tears to my eyes. She says, I've lost 42 pounds. They canceled my ablation surgery for atrial fibrillation because I'm not having the events that I had before. I no longer have the pain that I had months ago. I'm anxious and I'm out working again, no longer in bed. I said, I can't remember how you found me. She says, well, you gave a talk in Idaho to a group of doctors and physician assistants. And my doctor's a physician assistant who told me, this man said that he would consult for free for you. So I called you up. Now, how much more payment does one need than an inspiring story like that? So that's what I want to encourage all of you to think about this. What could your life be like if you made significant changes? And I'm not going to tell you you have to make any changes. I'm not a policeman. I don't give tickets. And I told her this also. This is totally her choice. I'm like the coach who's like spurring you on. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. Can't do it for you. So I guess that's the best story that I could give you for tonight. Do any of you have any questions? That's why we encourage you to bring friends and family, anyone that is willing to spend the night out with us. And if they can't do it in person, they could go online and they could get this information. And then they could call us up and get an appointment if they feel shy about being in a group. Yes.
I don't know how I get them because I don't. Different doctors, assistants, whatever. And I'll listen once in a while. I don't listen to all of them. Sometimes I'll be like 25 minutes, and then at the end there's a sales job about this, and then if you get 2, then you get 3, and then if you do this,
Right.
and I'm just wondering. I mean, I also get the one from Dr. Greger, but I'm just wondering if I should just go ahead and delete all those others and just pay attention to him, because all these others, I get so mad at the end. But like, we knock it off and get to the point here. Save a little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an excellent suggestion. Delete all the others. If they're selling you something, delete them. Trust Dr. Greger, trust Dr. Bernard, trust Dr. McDougall's site, trust those people.
I've never heard of them other than.
Okay, well, we'll share those as time goes on. You can even trust our website. Believe it or not, we're not selling
We're
anything.
not selling anything.
Yes,
When you're talking about that have something to sell, what do you think of the supplement of AMLA? AMLA?
AMLA.
Is that how you say it? Is that?
yeah, Dr. Greger mentions AMLA as being kind of a health promoting food. but he's not selling it. He just
Right,
tells
right.
you the science points to that.
Yeah.
I saw one of the books over there.
Robbie Barbaro and Cyrus Kamada. Yeah. So it's
And I
Indian
read their-
gooseberry.
and I
Yeah.
read their books,
Right.
you know, but I keep hearing about this and I just didn't know what you guys thought.
I think it's fine, AMLA.
But
I
you
don't
think it's
personally
bad,
eat
then
it every
maybe-
day.
There's some good,
Yeah.
good science on it. I guess when in a general class, I always talk about, you know, if the house is on fire, you want to take, would you rather have, you know, a few garden hoses to put it out, or would you rather have like the Junction City water tower to dump on it?
Yeah,
And
right.
so the Junction City water tower is going from a standard American diet to a whole food plant-based diet. That's going to make the biggest difference. Things like this supplement, this Indian gooseberry, the AMLA, whatever, that's like a garden hose that maybe have some benefit, but it's not going to really put out the fire.
Not-
Yeah, so it's an Indian gooseberry. It's into a powder, and you can take it as a supplement. It's been shown to be help with diabetes, insulin resistance, lower blood pressure, some things,
Yeah,
but
cholesterol.
and cholesterol. But
But if you just use AMLA as a silver bullet, like this is gonna bring me the health.
It's not,
It's
yeah,
not.
that.
so if you're still eating the standard American diet, adding that's not going to do much. It's
Well,
a-
If you do a whole food plant-based diet, you move throughout the day, you deal with stress in your life, you're sleeping adequately, and you add some AMLA, probably it'll add some extra benefit.
Well, because the Cyrus and Robbie,
Yeah,
those names,
yeah.
they talk about, adding it. Because they promote the plant-based and all that
Yes.
stuff too, but they talk about, you know, putting AMLA in like a
Like a
smoothie or even your salad dressing or.
It's not a
So-
problem. If you want to spend the money doing that, I
Right.
personally choose not to. I don't know, I'm
Yeah,
feeling
because of
pretty
course
healthy.
it's not cheap.
Yeah,
So it's still a money-making thing. I just didn't know what your thoughts were on it.
yes, I mean, the
Yeah.
supplement industry.
Right.
And sometimes in supplements, there are heavy metals and other things that you're not aware of. So
Right.
that's a good point to bring up.
Because even things that are healthy are not healthy.
In the supplement form.
Oh, well,
How
yeah,
they process
supplement or taking too much, or you're taking a supplement that says it's this, but it's
Something else.
tiny, or tiny amount that
Yes.
isn't worth, you know. So I know, I don't really take vitamins.
It's best to do whole foods,
The real.
plants that are grown in nature. There is one supplement, vitamin B12, which probably everybody in our population should be taking. If you're under 65, 2,000 micrograms once a day or once a week. If you're over 65, then it's 1,000 micrograms once a day. That's Dr. Greger's
Are you taking
recommendation.
less?
What's that?
You
We
take
take for
less?
1,000
Oh.
Yeah.
every day,
Okay.
as opposed to 2,000 for the once a week.
Why is that?
What's that?
Why is vitamin B12 so?
So vitamin B12 is important for neurologic issues, for anemia, for other kinds of issues. And it's lacking in our diet. It's lacking not only in people who just eat plants, it's also lacking in people who are eating animal products because it's made by the bacteria in the ground. So there are bacteria in the soil that make this B12. So along comes an animal that eats the grass with the ground, with the B12. So B12 tends to accumulate in animal tissues that we've been eating. But it's not in as great amount because of all the Roundup that's been used. It's killed off a lot of the bacteria. So we're getting less B12 in our overall diet, whether we're eating animals or whether we're just eating plants. But it's definitely been demonstrated, and you can wind up with some severe neurologic, non-reversible problems if you don't get adequate B12. And vitamin D is one that's currently being debated. If you're getting an adequate amount of sun, you probably don't need it. For years, we've told people in Oregon, you don't get enough D, take 2,000 international units a day. That's what I do, except in summer when I'm out working in the yard and getting it. Dr. McDougall said we don't need it. And there's some new evidence-based information the last 6 months, I would say, that's saying probably we don't need to be supplementing so much with vitamin D, that we've made more hype, but the jury is still kind of out on the issue. So for right now, take the vitamin D3 if you're living in Oregon.
That was my question.
Vitamin D3, D3. And at 1,000 to 2,000 international units a day.
And before we jump into meal preparation and planning, just want to give a shout out to the Irving Grange for letting us use this space. I want to thank them for that. And then if you're new here, the bathrooms are out there anytime when you come in. Debbie's going to be doing a cooking demo at the end, so stick around for that. And then you've probably seen the Lending Library in the back. You can check out those books or magazines for a month. And then the handouts up front. And again, if you missed last week's, the first 2 weeks of classes, I'll show you on the class website. The recording is there from last week on the homepage, so you can go back and watch that if you missed it.
So it's the same link. It's no longer Tuesday afternoon. It's going to Tuesday evening from 7 to 8. 1 hour. Well, it was canceled.
Yeah,
And
as of this week, it was the first time we didn't have it because we're doing this instead Friday night.
So I did the Tuesday afternoon class, told the group and told them, we're gonna go to, when do you want to go? Tuesday evening or Sunday afternoon? They said Tuesday evening. So I told the Tuesday, there were 4 people who showed up. Told them, we're gonna do non-recorded session from 7 to 8 o'clock on Tuesday. I wanted to have it open. It's not here, it's online only.
Oh.
And the online link,
Same.
it's gonna be posted. It's the same link as the online link here. I'm leaving that open for people. Some people told me we can't come Friday and got other things. And also med students, I wanted to leave a space for them to come and enter. So you'll get that on the newsletters that are
Yeah,
coming
so
up.
sign up for the newsletter if you haven't already on the homepage. It comes out every Sunday morning. Read through that every week because it has all the updated information about everything. Yeah, Tuesday's not recorded,
It
but
won't be recorded.
Friday is. So I'm assuming you hit record
Some
on this one.
people like not to share their
Did
stuff,
you hit record on this?
their information.
Oh, yeah,
with other
recorded.
people.
So
That's
it's
what-
time to
Says-
share more. First.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. And then whenever someone has a question out there, we're going to try to repeat it so that people
Okay,
can, these people.
is there a
can hear it.
question out here?
No, because
Oh, okay.
when somebody in our audience has
Yeah.
a question, we want to repeat it
Right,
so that, because they have a hard time hearing you guys out there.
and we'll get microphones one of these days.
Yeah. All right. Well,
They're in
share
progress. We've been talking with the Grange, and by the next couple weeks, we'll likely have microphones.
so which one do I want to share screen to get to the class website?
Just this one.
But they don't have to hit.
Undo this here,
Okay.
and so you're on,
On
this
sharing.
screen,
How do I go to the,
and so then
Internet.
we need to come down to the bottom. Let's see.
I'll take you guys to the class website and show you some stuff on meal preparation and planning there. And then show you a video. We have a trained chef that's done cooking demonstrations for us in the past at the YMCA. And they couldn't make it tonight, but they recorded their pronouns are they, them. And they recorded about a 10-minute video of top 10 tips for meal preparation, ease of meal preparation. That's really helpful. So I'll play that for you guys.
Stop share on the share screen. You need to go to advanced and take off this.
Oh, take off something.
You've got to take that off. Can't that come off? Huh.
I click it.
Let's do this. Let's see. We can take this off.
That would. Oh,
Okay, so that's different now. Stop the share. Share the screen.
Is it just one of these up here?
All right, let's go to motion screen. Oh, we didn't optimize it.
You selected the optimize, yeah.
Okay, so we'll leave here. Share here. Okay, and then here is how we're getting it.
So ask, can you guys see our screen online? Hey, Ken,
Yeah, they can see
I
it.
can see it. Okay, good.
So now where do we want to go? We want
To
to
the
go
class
to-
website.
And we can do. Yeah. There it is.
How do we get rid of this
And
box?
just shift it up, just. Put it in here, right click. and
What's this? What's this box?
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
Is it the minimize button?
Is there? That is so bizarre.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
That should be okay. All right. I'll try to speak really loud. Okay, here's the website, livelifestylemedicine.com. Those of you aren't familiar. And I'll just kind of show you real quick. I'm going to record a new website tutorial this weekend because there's been some changes since I recorded the last one about 6 weeks ago or so. But if you scroll about 2/3 of the way down, you'll see the website tutorial here. So if you want to get a full tour of this website and all the resources, just watch this little 15-minute video. And I'm going to plan to record a new one this weekend.
Charlie? We
what's
are
that?
only seeing a very thin, we're not seeing the whole screen.
Oh, you're just seeing this little strip here.
Yes,
Oh,
So that, you gotta try to expand that, I guess, yeah.
sorry.
Remember, it was only partial screen. Yeah, thank you. Drag it there. That's probably not big enough. How come, yes, how come they can't see our screen? Can you widen it there too? Yeah, there you go. There you go. Is it getting better?
Yes, that's a little bit better.
Okay. Okay, now you can see pretty much the whole screen.
Yes.
Okay, great. The
thank
website.
you.
Thank you. Working out the bugs here. So there's that. And then also the most recent class, so will always be on this homepage. So right, here's the tutorial. Then here's the class from last Friday night right here. That'll always be there. And then if you missed the last week, the week before that, all you got to do is you'll find out on the tutorial, but you just go to the class archives and you can click on class archives and then scroll down. Let me get this. Trying to get to the arrows, not much space. Okay, there we go. Class archives page here, and you'll see complete class archives. If you click on that, you'll see here, and then one more click for Live Lifestyle Medicine class archives. Click on that. And this takes you to the YouTube channel for the classes, and it has all of the classes. So then you click videos, and then here they all are in reverse order. So latest there's last week's introduction, then you just go back. So that's latest. It's a little different on your screen, but yeah, no, here all they are in reverse order. So you can go back and watch any of the ones that you might have missed. So there's that. Go back to the home page here. But yeah, you can.
Remember any of this? You can go back to the video, it'll be online.
Yeah, and you go, yeah, exactly. And plus you can watch the recording of the tutorial. So let me get back here back to the home page here. Okay, here we go. Okay, so what I want to show you on the meal preparation and planning stuff. First, we'll go to the resources page. So click resources. Scroll down. There's a few things I want to show you on the resources page. We'll eventually get back to handouts from classes, but it's so clunky to click on this computer. You know, just kind of pointing things out to you so you can kind of check it out. So you can go to the links to the cookbooks. So there's a whole bunch of different cookbooks here, and Charlie and I don't have any financial ties to anything on the website. So the books, the cookbooks, all the resources we recommend, nothing, you know, no disclosures or anything like that, just stuff we find helpful. And with cookbooks, it's always been, my wife always says this too, kind of reluctant to recommend specific cookbooks just because, you know, just like with any way of cooking or eating style, you know, one cookbook you might really like and another person might not. So, you know, so don't give up on a few recipes. If you try a few recipes in a particular cookbook but don't really like it, there's so many different ones. And so that's why we have, you know, probably a dozen of them or so on that links to cookbooks you can check out. And some of them are even in the back. And I think Debbie's going to talk about some of them. She's doing her cooking demonstration a little bit later. So there's those. And then there's links to websites with recipes and meal plans. So if you click on that, there's like Dr. McDougall has free recipes, Forks Over Knives, Monkey and Me, Kitchen Adventures. There's all these different ones that have, some of them just have like, you know, just lists of recipes for free. Some of them have like actual meal plans where you can, you know, sign up for a meal plan and it sends you like your recipes for like the week or the month, even on the month on some of them. Then they have like a shopping list you can produce off of those recipes. So there's whatever kind of whatever works for you, or, you know, because everyone's going to have a different way that they like to get into this and how to plan a meals for the week, and whether they like to batch cook or want something really simple. And so I'm going to kind of try to go over resources that will kind of help with everybody's different, maybe everyone has different styles of what they prefer. And so that's why I'm showing you so many different ones. There's also a free plant-based cooking class here. It's online. So if you click that link, I think it's called Switch, and it's online and it's all plant-based cooking, and it's a free class you can take online for how to cook plant-based. So they teach you like how to saute without oil, for example, using vegetable broth or vegetable stock, and just making really simple recipes. So that's available there. And then let's see what else I want to show. Plant-based meal ideas for traveling. It's a whole article on tips for when you're out traveling and how do you eat a plant-based diet doing that. And then, so let's see, you got the cookbooks, the websites with the recipes, meal plans, cooking class, meal ideas for traveling. Oh, and then another is further down. They're on a hiatus right now, but there's actually you can also do a whole harvest meal delivery service. So if you go all the way down, if you're just somebody that's like, there's just no way I'm going to cook and I don't have time, but I have a few extra bucks to spend. It's like similar cost to eating out, you know, $12 or $13 per meal. It's like a pound of food. It's, you know, filling. And I've tried many of them. And they're supposed to be restarting. They're revamping their menu. They've been down since July, but they're supposed to, next few weeks, couple weeks, they're supposed to be back up. So they're pretty good, but yeah, a little spendy. But if you want to just have, you know, they're vacuum packed so you can freeze some of them. So if you're just like to have on hand when you're like, I just don't feel like cooking tonight, let's throw this in the microwave. And it's SOS free. So it's like, that meets the 1-to-1 ratio. We'll talk about what that is on sodium, meets that ratio. There's no oil. It's all whole food plant-based. It's salt, oil, and sugar. Yeah, SOS free, salt, oil, and sugar. What's that? Oh, I can't see. Don't have a question? Oh, okay. And then, so that's what I wanted to show on this particular part. And then I want to go into the handouts from classes. That's where I have kind of the rest of the stuff. And I go over this a bit also in the website tutorial, but what I want to show here, let's go down to, I'll be showing some of these things next week when we talk about calorie density. So all the different classes, we use different handouts as resources. So that way you can just go to the website and get them. So let me do meal building basics. So I'm actually going to click on this one because I want to show this particular one. So I created this handout years ago. The reason I did was because the first 3 years I ate this way, been, yeah, since 2012, was I did it on my own. My wife wasn't interested. So I think Dr. Furman's book was the first one I read, Eat to Live. And he had recipes in the back. I started cooking those, and I realized, I wasn't very knowledgeable about cooking or knowledgeable about food, and kind of struggled a bit. And so if I would, after 3 years, my wife joined me. And so then it was a little bit easier because she has the cooking skills. But I created this handout in inspiration for the struggles I had. And so if you're somebody that's just like, you don't really want to have a meal plan and buy a cookbook and follow recipes are too complicated or whatever, and you just want to, and you're not picky, like I've never been picky. And so if someone would have given me this handout when I first started, I would have probably been doing that the whole time. And you can, I won't read through the whole thing, but what it is it's double-sided, and it kind of gives you basics like, okay, you start with a starch, then you add vegetables. And so it just gives you examples of what your starches are, like brown rice and oats and quinoa, farro, bulgur, millet, barley, whole wheat pasta, noodles, potatoes, and things like that. Those are your starches. And then you just put vegetables on top of that. So your starch is your base, because you're just eating salad. People always think plant-based diet, you're just like a rabbit. You're just eating salad all the time. No way, you starve to death, because it's just, there's not enough calories. You'd be eating all day long like a cow chewing out in the pasture, right? And so you can't do it. And so you've got to eat starch. Starch is really your base, because most of your calories are going to come from starch. And so you're going to be filled up by the starches. And, like Dr. McDougall says, that we're starchivores. All populations of people on the history of our planet have gotten the majority of their calories from starches. And so those are those examples of starches. So we have those what sustain us, and they're plants. I tell patients, they say, oh, I don't really like vegetables. Like, well, don't you like potatoes? Well, yeah. Don't you like corn? Yeah, I like corn. You like beans? Yeah, I like beans. I like rice and quinoa, maybe if they've tried some of these other grains, they don't think of those as being vegetables, but they're plants. And so, so it just kind of gives you that, and then you can put added vegetables on top of it. And it just goes through, like, it talks to you about how to saute without oil. Then on the other side, I just give examples of breakfast, lunches, and dinners with that concept of start with a starch, add vegetables. And with the Mexican theme, Italian theme, Asian theme, Northern European / Ireland theme, you can kind of guess what the starch is with each of those culinary, those ethnicities, right? And so, yeah, so that's just a really easy way. You're not even really following a recipe. And I know some of the cooking demos we've done here in the past have always been kind of that simple. Like, I don't know if any of you guys were here when Dr. Colgrove's wife, Akinyi, did the cooking at the YMCA 2 different times. And she just, like, there was no recipe. She's just like, start with this and add these ingredients. And you don't even have to really, but balancing, you learn how to balance. I learned this from my wife, like, well, you got to chop the vegetables the same size so they cook evenly, and just bonehead stuff that I didn't really think about. It's like, oh, you got to chop it the same so it cooks the same. And this has more water and this cooks faster than this. And that's just the knowledge I just didn't have. And a lot of you probably are like, duh. Like, because you guys have cooked, So yeah, it's like, I don't know. And then like, so some of those things, and then knowing when to, the timing and all that, and putting things together, and then spicing, like, like a lot of the cookbooks, I noticed the amount of spices they put in there is like so small. And I've learned, like, no, to double it, triple it, quadruple it. I love garlic and I love all the spices, because you're not using salt when you're cooking. And so you want to, most of the spices that most Americans are used to is ketchup and pepper and salt. That's pretty much it. But when there's garlic and cilantro and sage and all these, rosemary and all these great spices and all the different, like, curries and all, there's so much. If you look at around ethnicities, in America, it's like, it's so rare we have, like, spice markets. If you travel the world to other countries, they have spice markets for different profiles of different cuisines. Yeah.
Is there, like, sort of a handy list of kind of spices that we might have on hand to eat for whatever?
Yeah. So the question is there a handout for spices? And I know in some of the handouts on here, and some of the meal plans and things, they do have, like, what spices, like, how to stock your pantry. One of the things, remember the handout I went over last week with the plant-based quick start guide? That has, like, a whole section on what to stock your pantry with. And And I talked about that in the class. You can email me and I can send you an electronic copy of that particular resource. But so let me go get back to the website here. Let's see. It's hard because I can't see to click here. See if I can open, maybe hit the back button, maybe that'll help. How do I get off of this PDF? Oh. Oh, there we go. Where is it? Oh, there we go. Oh, now I'm off the website. What, do we get back here? Go back to Chrome. Okay.
Uh-huh.
That was .com. Oh, there we go. Okay, let me go back. Let me get back to the resources here. So that's why I try not to click on the files because it's so clunky on here with all the stuff we have pulled up because of the Zoom and everything else, all running at the same time. So, all right, so let me go back to the handouts from classes. So that was the meal building basics. And then this is another handout I created, meal planning ideas. So I won't click on it, but on there, it's kind of, they're really simple recipes. So it's kind of the inspiration for the meal planning ideas handout was kind of like, sometimes people are used to certain types of food. So they like spaghetti, they like tacos and burritos and lasagna and kind of just at least the food I kind of grew up on, more traditional foods, but how to make them plant-based versions of those things. And so there's resources at the bottom of the handout with the cookbooks it's from, and it's just really basic. You know, you want to have like a scramble for breakfast using tofu because you like scrambled eggs and toast or whatever. And then it has that, or it has like the oatmeal, and oatmeal bake was another recipe in there, and kind of stuff that you're maybe more traditional. And then there's like veggie burgers and stews and chilies and just kind of stuff that's like that you might be more familiar with, because sometimes people, it's, you know, going from the standard American diet to just suddenly eating just starches and vegetables seems like, well, what is it really? It's not familiar to me, right? And so maybe you kind of need some recipes and some simpler meals that are more traditional to what you're used to, while you maybe eventually you want to get it to where it's like what Charlie eats, where it's just starches and vegetables and beans. All you've seen him show his pictures on his plate, right? And so it's just another way you might look at how to do it. And then there's some recipes here for no oil salad dressings. There's like 34 of them on there. There are two, even though it says no oil, there are two on there that were Asian ones that did have oil, but the other 32 are all oil free. And so you can check that out, is there. And then let's see, so I wanted to show on there on the handouts, the top 10 meal prepping, do that video. Salad dressings recipe. Oh, and then the recipe section too. There's on the website, there are some recipes. I won't go to, it's like right here. So if you go up to this section, you'll see recipes there. There was recipes posted by people when we were doing potlucks. This is even back in before the pandemic, 2019, when I was teaching these classes at the church out in Springfield. We had potlucks at the end of each class cycle, and we're planning to do potlucks here as well. So stick around for that because it's a lot of fun. We'll do movie nights and we'll do all kinds of stuff here. So I hope you guys are in with us for the long haul. And so you can, check out recipes there. There's not a lot on there just because there's so many other websites and cookbooks and things that might not feel the need. So now, any questions about any of the resources before I show the video on meal prepping tips from Sunshine?
Not a question,
Yeah.
but I was just gonna say,
Yeah.
one of the things I have, and I saved it on my phone, so I don't have it, was from Engine 2.
Oh, yeah.
With Russell, his things, where he has his Super Bowl, and so same thing you're saying,
Yeah.
start with your rice or your whatever, and then add the list of all the veggies that you could add, and even the sauces and spices that are good
Yeah.
here. But that was really helpful to me. So like I said, I saved them all on my phone, so I'd always have them with me
Yeah.
at the grocery.
And I believe I have Engine 2 on the links to the websites with meal plans on there as well. So, yeah.
I just want organic, extra virgin olive oil is not good.
Right. Good question. So is extra virgin olive oil good? So whenever we talk about a food being healthy or not, or a product, because I guess we shouldn't really call it oil of food because it's just processed, but just, you took the olive and then you extracted all the fiber and the nutrients and now you just have the fat left. So, but is olive oil healthy? Well, olive oil is healthy compared to coconut oil and lard and butter and trans fats like Crisco, things like that. So it's healthy compared to that. So it's the better oil to use. But is oil healthy compared to unprocessed whole plant foods? No, because it's 120 calories per tablespoon, and that's more calories, and there's more calories in a tablespoon of olive oil than a whole pound of vegetables. Vegetables are about 100 calories a pound, and olive oil is 120 calories in a tablespoon. So it's better to avoid the oil when you can, but if you're going to eat out once in a while, like I do, I'm going to be getting some oil because I go to restaurants, but I don't use it at home because I try to avoid it when I can.
Right off by stopping oil, just reduce it, half for a few weeks and then half again. Just kind of keep taper. If
Maybe
you
again,
need.
it's misinformation perhaps, but oftentimes I can say, oh, use extra virgin olive oil and it'll help this, that, or the other thing.
All right, let me
Internet hype.
let's show this. Oh yeah, go ahead.
I took a class from folks overnight, and they taught me how to do it with water. And you can add whatever you want to water, or you can do it with broth. And I make my own broth. Like when I chop up vegetables, they go in a Ziploc, a freezer bag, and I throw it in the freezer. When I want a broth, I throw it in a pot of water and boil it. But when you're dealing with water, that's where the spices.
Yeah.
Nicely.
Good point.
So let's show this video. We got time. We can answer questions while we're doing the cooking demo too. So let's watch this. So this is Summer.
Hey everybody,
Okay,
it's
sorry,
Sunshine. I am just here to give you my top 10 tips and tricks for meal prepping. Meal prepping, as you know, is a wonderful way to make sure that you're eating your healthy meals, your life is more organized, and you're actually going to be saving yourself a lot of money if you do everything ahead of time. So these are my top 10 tips since I've been doing this for what seems like forever, and I don't know how I ever did it any other way. These are my top 10. So the first one I'm going to say is keep it simple. It shouldn't be something that's incredibly, extravagant. This is not a time to pull out one of your fancy Pinterest recipes that you found that has 30 ingredients and 15 different steps. Save that for the weekend or the days that you're not prepping. That way you can still be creative with your food and try something new. But there's absolutely nothing worse than having an incredibly difficult recipe that you haven't done before. And when you're trying to just, get through your meal prep and have everything ready for the week, save that for another time. So the next tip I would say is, in order to be organized, make a list and check it twice. Make that list of all of the ingredients that you need, everything that you need to prepare in order to make the day of meal prepping go smoothly. That way when you're walking into the grocery store, you're not impulsively buying a bunch of ingredients and not actually knowing how much you need. You don't want to have to go back to the grocery store to get stuff that you might have forgotten. I have done this many times, and this is why I suggest this. Really write down that list and know how many pounds you need of something, how many cups you need of something else. Just go over it. Don't do this the night before. Come up with a plan. Be organized. The third step I would suggest is when you're ready and it's meal prep day, or even the night before, have a clean surface. You want to sanitize it. You want to clear out any clutter because you're going to have stuff going on all around you, especially to save time. You're going to be cooking multiple things at once. So you don't want to have a bunch of dirty pans all over you, or just Who knows what you keep on your countertop? Clear it out, get it away, or even set up a fold-out table, you know, on the side of your kitchen to start, you know, playing with how you want to get these recipes together, where you're going to put your extra bowls, you know, stuff like that. So make sure the space is very clear and organized. So the number four tip is get yourself some stackable or recyclable meal containers. This will really help you to know your portions and do portion control. When they're stackable, you can just put them in your fridge and you take up way less space, because these, you know, you can get some bento boxes that have multiple different sections in the container if you have like little snacks here, or you don't want juices to run into other types of your meals. Or you can just get the rectangular kind where it's just like an open rectangle. And then you can save these and either, you know, recycle them and get rid of them, or I've been using the same containers over and over again. Sometimes plastic will erode over time, so you will eventually want to get rid of them if you start noticing any deterioration of the containers. But yeah, you can get them in 20 packs or 50 packs. And then you keep them nice and cool in your fridge, and you just pull them out in the morning, put them in your lunchbox, take it to work. And you can just live like that. It's really, really easy and convenient. Then the fifth tip I would suggest is get a kitchen scale. This is really easy for when you're batch cooking and you're cooking like a large amount of foods. If you have a scale, you can actually weigh to see how many potatoes you have or how many onions you have just chopped up. So that if you use an app like MyFitnessPal, you can actually know what your portion sizes are. Plus, when you have like a big bowl of the last results of your food, you can measure that, and then you know, well, now I know how many portions I need to make, and you can measure, well, this meal needs to be 4 ounces of this per meal, and it just makes it easier for you to divvy out all of the different portion sizes, and you really have a grasp for what you have available. So, you know, that kitchen scale is going to actually serve you in more than one thing, in more ways. So definitely suggest that. The sixth thing that I would greatly suggest is when you have, you know, a little bit of money to spare, you know, if you're on a budget, this might not be ideal for you, but if you have a little extra money, invest in things like an Instant Pot, a rice cooker, or an air fryer. Those are going to make it a lot more convenient for you to cook things in, especially if like you're using an ovens and you only need to like cook up a few things. Oven takes up a lot of electricity, and if you have an air fryer, you can actually cook smaller portions of things. They also help to make things more crispy, especially since you're cooking without oil. An Instant Pot is excellent for everything. So I'd also include like a crock pot in here, just because like there's going to be certain meals that you can just stick in the Instant Pot. You don't have to worry about it. Or especially when you start consuming more legumes in your diet, if you deal with like a lot of gas issues, an Instant Pot is really great because when you pressure cook things, it actually helps to relieve a lot of that excess gas in the legumes. So it's really worth your time and energy to get something like that. All right, and then to continue on with that subject, when you know you are cooking, it's ideal to make one of your meals a really easy meal, like a one pot meal, or something you can just stick in the Instant Pot or stick in the crock pot. While you're focusing on your other meals, like especially during the colder seasons, we always do at least like one soup or stew. And you know, you just cut up those ingredients and you stick it in the Instant Pot or the crock pot. You don't have to worry about it. It does all the cooking for you, and that way you can just focus on your other meals. Another thing, back to the legumes, that's going to be the number 8 tip, is plan ahead. For beans, you want to soak them ahead of time, and I would suggest even soaking them overnight. Beans will actually release more gas if you soak them first and then you stick them in the Instant Pot, and so it really helps your tummy if you're just not used to eating that many legumes. On top of that planning, you know, if you have been freezing your tofu to make it, you know, more meat-like, make sure that you're defrosting it like 1 or 2 days out. I get these big blocks of tofu, and there's been times where I haven't defrosted it the day of, and you're just sitting waiting for that to be done. So I would even, yeah, start defrosting it in your fridge like 2, maybe 3 days out. Before your day of meal prepping. That way, when it's time to meal prep, all of your ingredients are ready and you don't have anything else that you're waiting for. That also includes things like marinating. If you have anything that you need to marinate it, make sure you do it the night before. Just like put, on your phone's calendar or your physical calendar, hey, this is something I need to do the night before, get it done. That way, you're not waiting around for something. Everything is just there and ready for you. All right, and then my 9th tip is have an organized timeline in your head. We had to do this in culinary school, and it really helped me to be a better chef. We would actually have to write a to-do list and like timestamp of how long everything would take in order of priority and how long things take to cook. So for example, if I have a bunch of potatoes that I want to cook and I know potatoes take a lot longer to cook, I will start on those potatoes first, stick them in the oven, and while that's cooking for, who knows how long, depending on what type of style of potato I'm doing, I can work on other things as opposed to like sticking those potatoes in the oven at the end of my meal prepping and I'm just sitting there waiting for those potatoes to be done. Another example of this would be if you're making seitan or wheat meat. That can take over an hour and a half of simmering or steaming. So I'd start that product first, and then while it's steaming, I can work on other things. So know what it is that you have to cook and how long each of these things take. Don't just come, on the day of meal prepping, look at your recipes and start. Plan out what makes the most sense to start cooking or start chopping and work on those things. And this is also something you'll learn with time and experience, but it really does make it move a lot more swiftly. And like I said in the previous cooking class, the passive foods, those foods that you're just waiting for, get those things going while you're working on other stuff. So just have a good organized timeline in your head, or even write it down if that's easier for you. And then my number 10 tip, which is I think the most important, is have fun. Meal prepping can be a fun experience if you make it a fun experience. It can also be total hell if you aren't organized and you're doing too complex of recipes and you don't have anything fun on in the background. Like, get on some really energizing music and jam out to it. I even like to watch some of my favorite TV shows that I've seen multiple times. I'll put on like New Girl or Friends, and I'll just put it on the background, put it on a speaker so I can hear it. I already know what's gonna happen, so I'm not feeling focused and like I need to focus on the TV show. I can focus on the cooking, but it's still like it's comedy, it's funny, and I can laugh. It just keeps me in good spirits. So have fun with your meal prep. Do it with a friend, do it with your family members or your partner. Get them involved in this too. I mean, when you think about what our ancestors were doing, they were singing songs while they were churning butter and while they were weaving their quilts and doing all of that sort of stuff. And so this can be a communal experience, something that, is an enjoyable experience. So these are my top 10 tips. If you have any other questions, feel free to email me. I love sharing this information, and have a great time meal prepping. I know you'll do great.
The new era of business is here. Use generative AI on AWS to optimize production and scale your business from local to global. With generative AI on AWS, businesses can push the boundaries of innovation.
We can get up and move over there.
I heard I was the first file one made. I was very relieved.
I guess I have to end video instead of it just plays on YouTube, it's like, even though it's a link to just a video.
I see. Okay. Let's see, we're gonna get rid of this thing. Escape. Let's this. Exit full screen, exit this, come back to here. And then we're gonna
There we go.
bring on. I guess we'll do this view. We could do a speaker view while she's doing this, maybe. Okay, let me
Yeah.
take my.
You guys hear that? Everything okay so far in class?
So are there any questions?
Look, sounds good.
That thumbs up. Good. Charlie's gonna have the camera set up where Debbie's doing the cooking demonstration. So try to. Yeah, you can probably see, can you see Charlie's camera moving around in the kitchen?
We can see, but can't hear anything.
Okay. So I wonder how that's gonna work. Oh, he's muted. Okay. I can unmute. Let's see. Aston.
It came from the Choose You Now diet by Julian Heber, who's a dietitian. And I copied the whole thing down because just like her, so many times I haven't prepared my ingredients and I don't have something, even though I thought I did. So,
Scott, can
and I
you
made
mute?
this the other day.
Yeah, can you guys hear her?
Yeah, we can hear her, but
So
you need to mute you.
pasta and
Okay.
Got feedback.
broccoli.
Gotcha.
And this is the pasta that is, the recipe says to use, is this chickpea pasta. And I think you can use any pasta you want. This has a lot of protein and fiber, so that's nice. And it might not turn out as well as it did the other day because I cooked in advance, because I knew I wasn't gonna have time to do everything. So what I'm really gonna show you is the sauce, that's a cheesy sauce that's gonna go on it. And so I roasted 2 sweet potatoes, and they're supposed to be medium sweet potatoes, but see, this is something I won't even know. This looks bigger than me. Does it look bigger than me? Yes. Sort of, kind of, okay. So, and they were kind of big when I made it the other day. The sauce was pretty thick, so maybe I won't put quite all of them in there. But so you just throw, everything's gonna be in this high-speed blender. These look so funny. Okay, so. That much. So it's the sweet potatoes and then there's a half a cup of raw cashews. Unsalted, unroasted. Put those in. And oftentimes when you're using cashews, they suggest that the recipe will suggest you soak them first, but this one didn't, and it worked out fine. So then there's the spices, and I just put them all together in my nutritional yeast. So there's 4 tablespoons of nutritional yeast in here, and I have them all here. 1 teaspoon dry mustard powder. And you can see how I do my spices. I go to Mountain Rose Herbs sometimes, and I just go to the bulk section, or I get them in this. And there's a half a teaspoon of garlic powder, half a teaspoon of onion powder, half a teaspoon of chipotle powder, and half a teaspoon of smoked paprika. So I'm gonna throw that all in there. No, go ahead.
You get spices at Mountain Rose, is that like the coffee shop that's done on?
That's, yes, yep, so they have, I get teas there, I get big bags of tea and spices too. Yep, it's a great spot.
Really sort of their tea.
Yeah.
When is their coffee shop?
Oh, yeah, there is a coffee shop, yep, I don't know who runs that. And then there's gonna be 2 tablespoons. It calls for freshly squeezed lemon juice, but I always use the jarred stuff because lemons are expensive and it's just easier. So
They freeze nicely though.
When you say gel, you mean like real lemon?
Yes.
And then there is, it calls for 1 teaspoon reduced sodium tamari, but I use, because I'm gluten free, I use cocoa aminos, and that has a similar taste, it's delicious, and so that's 1 teaspoon of this, I think, yeah. And usually I know you're not supposed to pour over it, because you might pour too much, which I have done before. Okay, and then there's gonna be 2 cups of plant milk. And so I use soy milk a lot, and I like this brand because all it is soybeans and water, that's it. So, and it's organic, that's nice too. Okay, so I'm gonna put that right here.
Where do you get that brand at?
This, I go to Sundance or Capella or Market of Choice. Sundance has 10% off for longevity discount. Now, Capella does on Wednesdays, Sundance has every single day. And it's hilarious, you have to tell them, I get the longevity discount. Okay, so then, okay, so now I'm just gonna put this on here with this. And this is the Ninja. A lot of people have, it's that green. Vitamins. Vitamins, yeah, a lot of people have vitamins. And I have really sensitive ears, so I use this all the time, but I wear these things, so you can close your ears if you need to. Just put it away from that. Okay, so this doesn't take long, I'm just kind of make sure it's blend until smooth. Looks pretty good. Smooth it out for me. So here's the. So I think what happened is the pasta kind of stuck together a little bit because I had already done that. So we'll see how it goes. So I'm gonna put this in here, and it says save about a cup to put on the very top one after I mix it up. So I'm just gonna mix this together. And oh, I picked this because who mentioned engine 2 just a minute ago? Yeah. So I'll show you. Rick Esselstyn has the Plant Strong podcast. You guys know about that? It's a great podcast. And Rick basically does on a bigger scale what we're doing here on a small scale. Rick Esselstyn, and his dad, Caldwell B. Esselstyn, is one of the heroes and the shoulders we stand on for starting. He was I think he was a surgeon, and he ended up taking patients, kind of like Charlie was talking about his story today, where people were near death with heart disease and have been told it's over. And he said, can I take those people and do an experiment? And I think Charlie might have told that story, but people that were at death's door lived, they got on the bandwagon, and Caldwell B. Esselstyn made a huge difference. And he's still, like Charlie, will consult for free. I think they're in upstate New York or something.
Do you remember the movie? Because there's a movie where they talk, like they have some of his patients
Cause I remember there was a particular lady who said, my doctor just said, go home and die, wait to die. And that she was part of his first study, and now she's lived 30 years and going strong and all that, but it was in a movie, one of the, that I don't remember.
And that might be, that also sounds like Dr. Greger's grandmother too.
Oh, yes.
Forks over knives.
Oh.
Is that part of Forks Over?
Yeah.
I couldn't remember, I watched many.
What's it called?
Forks Over Knives, that's a really good one to watch.
It's a super good one. So many people have watched that and made.
And it's on like Netflix or something.
And it's a movie.
It's a documentary from about 2012 and it's excellent. Very inspiring. Okay, so now I mixed it up and you're just supposed to throw the rest of the sauce on the top. So that's really it. Now I'm just gonna put it in under the broiler, it says for 5 to 10 minutes, and then we can all have some. But while it's putting under the broiler, see, I messed up the. Where's my, oh, it's right here. Thanks, Marsha. I'm gonna put the.
Like on TV, you should have one already made when you.
And I see this in my toaster oven, so I don't know how round this is gonna get. Can somebody do their phone for 5 minutes? Or no,
It's not, but it's, sees that is not.
okay, so I just wanted to show you, this is Rick Esselstyn, this is the Flex Strong podcast. And, he had 3 guests on the last 3 weeks and I loved all of them. The first one was this guy, Eric Solberg, and then Corey Clark, which was the latest. They both had long-term issues with food addiction. And they both overcame their addictions after many, many years of not. And so I was so impressed by Eric's story. And he used to hide food and he used to love to go for errands for his family so he could go to the drive-through. And I've been there of hiding food and all that stuff, and so it was really meaningful. He finally, and he had a happy family life. It was just overwhelming. So anyway, he talked about how he got help, and part of it is his wife was super supportive, and a friend was super supportive, and then he also got a coach. Adam Sudd, I don't know if you've heard of Adam Sudd, yeah, he was addicted to more than food. And he's become an excellent coach in this world. And Eric said, my wife was wonderful, always supportive of me no matter what, and so was my friend. But Adam understood his wife didn't have food addiction. I'm definitely addicted to stuff, and it's really hard, but it's inspiring to hear other people's stories. And so he mentioned, Eric mentioned this book as another thing that was really helpful for him. So I just started looking around, and I've never made this stuff, and I just thought I'll try for us. And then the story of Corey Clark. If you're interested in inspiring stories, because I know, we all get into this from different avenues and different times and different people speak to us. So what speaks to me might not speak to you, but so those are just what I wanted to tell you about.
Do you mind spelling the Rick's last name or something?
Sure, it's Esselstyn, ESSELSTYN. And
No wonder I didn't get it.
he's a former firefighter in that engine too.
Oh, okay.
He took his whole, the people that he worked with, and they had a challenge, and he helped turn their lives around with the challenge that he did for, because some of them were walking time bombs, you know, and, so he really helped them 10 or 12 years ago at least, and he's been doing it and honoring his parents. His whole family is into plant-based living.
And he even left being a fireman and did, marathons and
Yeah, he's
he
also a
became a, like, I don't know.
super athlete.
Super athlete,
Yeah,
yeah, I can't
yeah.
think of the word that he used, but yeah, he does marathons.
Yeah.
All that.
So if we wanted to access some of that information, where do we go with that?
For the, what I was just.
Yeah.
So just look up the Plant Strong podcast.
Okay.
That's it. Plant Strong is Rick's thing.
Uh-huh.
Look at it. I think it might be really. Where did I put those folders? Oh, right here. So anyway, yeah, the Plant Strong podcast, the last 3 podcasts, that middle one is a doctor in North Carolina who got to work with McDougall as a intern, and she purposely works in a practice like Scott used to work at, Oregon Medical Group, because she, even though there's constraints, we all know it's difficult to have more than 7 minutes or whatever, but she really does practice lifestyle medicine with everybody she sees. And it's like Charlie has been saying, it's such a joyful thing to watch people get better and help people get better, because it's on the other side, it's so disheartening. And there's so many professionals, medical professionals, so burnt out and leaving the profession. We just need more lifestyle medicine. I better. That looked kind of brown to you? Yeah. All right. Okay, great. Oh, that was 5 minutes. Oh. I better turn my. All right, so want to have some? Okay, it's gonna be hot. So you can just line up if you want, and if anybody has questions or comments, you can just, if you want to line up and go get some. Yeah. No, you should send it.
Are these to be taken?
Oh, no, they don't grow.
No, they're not.
They're not brochures at all. Yeah, that's what's now.
I wonder how this is like.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got like almost box. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Got some.
Oh, I enjoyed it.
Is it good? Good.
Bite.
Oh, yeah, hopefully not too much.
No.
I have. Thank you.
This is the Choose You Now diet.
I'm not sure. What is this? Oh,
I'll
yeah.
just use the Choose.
I haven't heard of that.
I think that's what this one's from.
Are gonna join us in the back, where I'll.
No, it's not. Or on these.
Right here. Right here.
Then I could put that. Will you, take a picture? Some people like. I hated what that was. That was a sausage looking thing. What's that sausage you put on? That's what I said. That's exactly why. But I ended up just.
Carry on, thank you for the info.
Anytime.
Thank you.
Talk about real estate all day long. Oh, the winner, yeah. But I think Yeah, and they do have these days now.
For snacks and chips. Take one.
We did try it, yeah.
Yes, it's good. Last bite I took it there, it's spicy.
Yeah, and that's what my husband said. I get too aggressive for people,
We love spice.
Yeah.
I don't remember you saying anything too spicy. Oh, God.
Oh, okay. Would you like to know? Yeah. So I just bought it, it's not in our library yet, but if you want to borrow it, you're born, right?
Right, yeah. I know it's hidden, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
And these are just library books. It's by the same author. So it's, and, you know, it's about. But yeah.
Compliments to the chef. I agree, yeah, very good.
Definitely catch you in nutritional yeast.
And I was just listening 4 weeks hard. Yeah, and she mentioned with pigs and stuff, she that I make a call.
I do, I like to put them on the buffer.
Listen to her.
And she's on the plant strong one? Okay. Okay,
You went to a whole food diet.
Yeah.
perfect. 1 year. Yeah, yeah.
But she's. And she would.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do with that? Probably throw it in.
So for anyone online, it's hard to share the food treats with you. And yet, I'm just checking to see if you have any questions before we end the meeting and the recording tonight. Any questions from anybody? Glad to have you, and we'll be back again in about another week.
Great. thank you.
Remember, there's on Tuesday night from 7 to 8 o'clock on this same link. We'll also have a class then too. So it's not going to be the same issue. We're probably going to review what we did tonight
Mhm.
and then do question and answer session, and we'll see what else we can do on Tuesday night from 7 to 8 o'clock. It'll be an hour. Okay, everybody.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good night. Take care. Done?